ironically, the title of my, I found it. The title of my PowerPoint is Lost. Doesn't God have a major sense of humour? I just wish I understood it sometimes. Ladies and gents, lost. Do you know, this is going to be really simple, because I'm really simple. Can I just introduce you to myself? I'm not a theologian, I'm not a minister, I'm not a pastor. I am just an ordinary person. I do come from Northern Ireland, I have to apologise for that. I'm not trained in these things. And so I want you to understand that what I'm about to say is simple, but I do believe it's from God. Right? I do believe it's from God because He won't let me think about anything else apart from this for the last few weeks. So I'm going to pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you that your plans are perfect. We thank you that you have a plan for each and every one of us. And that plan is perfect. We say to you this morning, Lord, that where we have stepped out of your plan, forgive us, but show us the way back so that we can once again be in that journey with you, hand in hand, looking up that road, doing so with excitement and expectation because we know you've gone ahead of us already. And I just pray, Lord, that the things you've given me may bless these lovely people, will instruct and encourage these lovely people of yours, and that it may be your plan that I follow this morning. So, Lord, be with us now. I apologise. First of all, if Anthony has one of those smartwatches on that looks at heart rate, and when I look at mine later on this afternoon, I'll know exactly. I probably burnt a few calories in the last 40 minutes just through anxiety and. So this is plan H, I think, because plan A didn't work, plan B didn't work, plan C didn't work. But you know what I'm trying to say to you is that God's plan always works. And I know that sounds like a cliche, but I absolutely stand on it. I stand on that promise. So what am I talking about this lost? You might say my mind this morning, but actually I'm talking about the lost sheep. And everybody knows the story of the parable of the lost sheep. Yes? And I thought, well, how can I possibly bring something to you that's simple? So this is why it's simple. The story, as you might have been worked out, is about a sheep who gets lost, right? I'm going to tell you about where it's told to us in the Bible, and I'm going to take that from a chapter called Luke 15. It's in the sort of the second half of the Bible, one of the Gospels. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, so the third book of the New Testament. And it's also mentioned in the book of Matthew, chapter 18, but I'm going to look at the version in Luke. Alright? The lost sheep. Now, you probably have felt like me sometimes where you do feel a bit lost. You do feel like, where on earth am I going? What's the plan of action here? What's going to happen next? You feel like a lost sheep. And so this really spoke to me. So I'm going to just very quickly tell you, read from God's Word. All right? It doesn't have to be a paper copy to read God's Word. I'm using a digital copy. But the words are still powerful. Okay? And it says this. Tax collectors and other notorious sinners often came to listen to Jesus. This made the Pharisees and teachers of religious law complain that he was associating with such sinful people, even eating with them. So Jesus told them this story. If a man has 100 sheep and one of them gets lost, what will he do? Won't he leave the 99 others in the wilderness and go to search for the one that is lost until he finds it? And when he has found it, he will joyfully carry it home on his shoulders. When he arrives, he will call together his friends and neighbours, saying, "Rejoice with me, because I have found my lost sheep." In the same way, there is more joy in heaven over one lost sinner who repents and returns to God than over 99 others who are righteous and haven't strayed away. May God bless his word. It's a simple story. We hear of these analogies and, in other aspects of life. But I want to just break it down for you this morning, if I may. And I'm going to start by looking at his audience. Because, we often talk about the sheep, but we don't often talk about the people who Jesus was telling the sheep to. His audience. Now, if you're like me, I'm a teacher by trade. And your audience changes the way you speak. Like my mother, who wasn't a teacher, but my mother's voice would change if she was on the telephone. She had a telephone voice. And she'd be ranting and raving at us, going, "Would you, for goodness sake, sort that?" And then, "Hello." And that was Daisy. And she could be in the midst of anything and then go, "Oh, hello, how, that's fine. Right, now, so you." And I think we all do it, don't we? The way that I teach my little kids in year 7 will be different to the way that I teach the kids who are 18 about to go and do A-levels. And that's normal. And so I thought, well, who was Jesus talking to? Because that will determine how he speaks. All right? So his audience, it says it to us here in the first few verses. Tax collectors, and I love this bit, other notorious sinners. People with a reputation for being really good at sin. Serious sinners. And they often came to listen to Jesus teach. That's interesting. Why would notorious sinners and tax collectors come to hear Jesus teach? Well, they must have felt that there was something he was saying to them that was worth listening to. These were the lowest of the low, the outcasts. These are the people who, were shunned and frowned upon, and they were hated. They were hated. I mean, you could say that tax collectors are still not the most favourite people in the country, but they have a job to do. But these people were also considered corrupt. They would take money for the Romans, but they would also pocket some of it themselves. And other notorious sinners, the lowest of the low, came to hear Jesus. They were interested in what he had to say about their lives. They were interested to see his miracles. They were interested to hear his teaching. And it also says, this made the Pharisees and teachers of religious law complain. Another version says grumble. That he was associating with such sinful people. And then my favourite bit again. Even eating with them. So much so that Jesus was not just talking to them, he was spending time with them. He was spending quality time. I'll speak to some of you today a little bit, but there's nothing better than having friends round for dinner. Because Mia never complains about my cooking. And you'll sit there, and it's more than a 10-minute kind of chat. It's quality time, isn't it? Jesus spent quality time with notorious sinners. And there's almost like a vulnerability about that time. When you sit with people, what are you saying to them? I accept you. I value you. I want to know what you're saying, what you're feeling, what you've been through, what your plans are, what your ambitions are. And Jesus sat with the lowest of the low and was interested in them. He even ate with them. Because some of us will sometimes associate, I'll be honest, there's a few names in my head right now with kids in my school. And the least amount of time I can spend with those kids, the better. So I know them. Do you think I would say, come on, we'll have lunch together? No. No? Do you know what I'm saying? Jesus had dinner with notorious sinners. He spent time, he took time, he was interested. And I just wonder, well, what does that really mean? So, in terms of the sinners, they were accepted, he broke bread with them, they were valued. But on the other hand, the Pharisees complained. They were full of pride because they looked upon these notorious sinners and tax collectors and they thought the message was not for them. They denied those people a chance. I just wonder if already you're starting to think, have I done that? Have I denied somebody a chance to be listened to be valued? Because I think ultimately that's what our message is today. Okay? As we go through this, just try and take it on yourself and think, honestly, what's that say to me? These people, the Pharisees, these teachers of religious law, were jealous of Jesus because they could see that the people who came into contact with them were going away changed. And that's always our prayer about this church. You come in one way, but you go out better. You come in one way, potentially dealing with sin, and you go out forgiven. You come in feeling perhaps rejected, and you go out accepted. You come in feeling undervalued by society, and you go out valued and precious. And that's our church. That's our church. Do you know why it's our church? Because it was Jesus' church. That's what he did. He didn't look at hierarchy. And I struggle with some aspect of church, other church denominations who give an acceptance to some people to go in higher or closer to the altar. And they have screens up so you can watch what the others are doing, but you're not holy enough to go with them. I'm sorry, but that's not Jesus. That's not Jesus. He made it so simple, and that's what I'm saying to you. We sometimes think, surely it can't be that easy. Surely this Christian thing is not that simple. Ladies and gents, it is. You cannot earn your right into a relationship with Christ. You can't earn it. You cannot be a really good person and then go, maybe he'll let me in now. Ladies and gents, he is letting you in now, right now, with no hard work behind it or good intentions, because he knows we're going to fail. So he says, no, come as you are, notorious sinners. Come as you are. Don't try and keep those religious lawmakers happy, because you'll fail each time. Come as you are right now, right here. Right now, right here. Why sheep? Why did he choose sheep? To show us an image of relationship. It's very simple. Sheep are dull. Sheep are one of the dullest animals. They are. They're cute. Well, it depends on how close you've been to a sheep. I come from a place in Northern Ireland that was surrounded by sheep farms, and I'm from a fishing town in Northern Ireland, but gorgeous big, areas of hills and mountains. And you sometimes would see them, wouldn't you, if you just happened to be on that little country road at the wrong time and there's a big flock of sheep and you've been brought down to be sheared, and you're like, oh, here we go. And they, and all the rest of it, and you're like, oh, they're ugly. But I looked into sheep. They're timid, they're fearful, they are easily They're dumb, stupid, and gullible. They stampede easily. They're vulnerable to attack. They have little or no means of self-defense. They've got tiny little mouths. I don't know if you realise that. Their incisors are built in such a way, created by God in such a way that they nip the top of grass. That's how they eat. Cattle have a much bigger mandible that crunches and tears out grass, but sheep just nibble. You can't attack with that size of a mouth, can you? They cannot defend themselves. All they can do is run. They're therefore easily killed by enemies. And they're easily cast, that is, they can flip onto their back, which is hilarious. They flip onto their back and they're vulnerable because they can't right themselves. Now listen to that bit. They cannot right themselves. Sheep cannot turn themselves back over unless the shepherd comes along and puts them back. And I was thinking about sheep and thinking, oh my word, that's me. It's me. It's you. We are vulnerable to attack. We are liable to panic and stampede. We cannot fend for ourselves. We cannot defend ourselves. And when we are upended, we cannot do anything about it. Unless the shepherd comes along and puts us right. And let me just, in case you haven't got it, Jesus is the shepherd. He is the one who comes along and sees that we are upended in our lives, and although we've tried really hard and we've struggled, he's the one who comes along and goes, there you go. They can't help themselves, that's their nature, and neither can we. Because we might try, and we'll sometimes gather in flocks to defend ourselves and potentially even attack, but ultimately, we're vulnerable. The parable continues. So Jesus told them a story. If a man has 100 sheep and one of them gets lost, what will he do? Won't he leave the 99 others in the wilderness and go to search for the one that is lost until he finds it? And I'm saying to you, why all the fuss? You already had 99. You had 99. I mean, if I show you an image of 100 sheep and 99 sheep, can you spot the difference? Do you know what I mean? Can you see the difference? Who would notice? Who would notice that one was lost? You're all trying to do it now, aren't you? Who would notice that one single sheep out of a flock of 100 had gone astray? It's the one on the right. I just want your concentration on what I'm saying, not on counting sheep. Come on. Because we all know what happens when you count sheep. I'm going to get to the end of this before you fall asleep. You see, counting sheep and knowing that one is lost, that's only generally known, not by the passerby, but by the one who looks after the sheep. By the shepherd. Their shepherd will know that one has gone astray. The shepherd may well have all of them named, and they'll know their characteristics, and they'll know their personalities. They know the stubborn ones. They know the ones that are, happy-go-lucky sheep. The ones who prance a little bit higher and jump a wee bit hoppier, and all. They know their sheep. So the shepherd knows when one's gone astray. He'll know it. Hang on. Where's Jasmine? I haven't seen her for ages. Hang on a minute. Let's just check. And every sheep has to be accounted for by that shepherd. because that shepherd values every sheep. So Jesus told him the story, the man who goes to look. It's not just Sam who can do twin jokes. Thankfully, I'm slightly in the darkness because of the projector. I am the identical twin. I'm on the left, and Jennifer, my twin, is hiding on the right. And not long after this photo was taken, we went on a holiday. We went up to a place called Port Rush, made famous for its golf. They've got the UK Open there soon. They've got this weekend the Northwest 200, if anybody's into motorbikes. We went in 1977 to a caravan site. And on that particular day, I got lost. Now, I hope it comes up, but basically the caravan site's quite big. Margoth caravan site, thank you Jennifer for reminding me of the name. It should be embedded in my brain because that day I got lost. That being a twin, my parents with three kids and then Jennifer and I, they could have just said, it's fine, we've got a spare. It's absolutely fine, don't worry about it. To be honest, they weren't expecting to have two babies anyway in 1970. It was like copy and paste, and I'm paste. Jennifer was first, 5 minutes older than me, then I came along. So really, they had a spare. So why did they bother panicking and searching all the caravan site that particular afternoon in August of 1977? Why would they do that?
Because they loved me.
Thank you. They did love me. They loved me enough to come searching for me. And all the family were out. And eventually I was found. To great relief to them and to me, because we were meant to be going to the swimming pool for a swim that afternoon, and I didn't want to miss it. And I was concerned that I was going to get a good telling off. And I was concerned that they would never find me again, and these caravans all looked the same. But they found me. They didn't stop until they did. And again, like Jesus, the Good Shepherd knows when one of his sheep have gone astray, and he won't give up until he finds you. He won't give up until you're back to where you belong in the flock. He won't give up searching and listening for your bleating, because sheep will bleat. Because sheep, as we've been told, get anxious. Sheep are vulnerable to attack, particularly if they're by themselves. Sheep were prey to wolves in the time of the shepherd David that was talked about in the Old Testament. By ourselves, we're vulnerable to attack. But the shepherd will not give up searching until we're found. Why rejoice? It talks about it near the end. And when he has found it, he will joyfully carry it home on his shoulders. When he arrives, he will call together his friends and neighbours, saying, "Rejoice with me, because I have found my lost sheep." Now let me remind you of the audience he's talking to, the Pharisees and the lawmakers. They would not have seen any rejoicing happening if some notorious sinner repented. Jesus was making a really exaggerated response to finding one sheep, and putting it on his shoulder and coming back to the flock, coming back to his neighbours and going, "I found it!" That's an overreaction if you find a sheep. Do you know what I mean? I've never seen in all my time living in the mountains of Mourne, I've never seen a farmer skipping down the mountain road going, "Found it! Got it!" Weirdo. And yet this shepherd, after all of his attention to find the sheep, all the effort, possibly a lot of time, comes back and he goes, "Let's rejoice. This is amazing." Because the Pharisees need to be told that finding one sinner who comes back to faith is worth rejoicing. It is worth rejoicing. It is worth going the extra mile and getting all your neighbours around. I just hope it wasn't roast lamb, otherwise that's just ironic. You and I, when we come back to the flock, are rejoiced over. Because you might have put yourself outside of the flock because you think you're a notorious sinner and that you think there's no way back because those are good sheep. Oh, they're lovely sheep. They're clean sheep. They've never done anything wrong, sheep. And you put yourself out over here thinking, well, that shepherd's not my shepherd. I'm too bad for that shepherd, the good shepherd. And he's saying to you and I today, we all need to go searching for those lost sheep and rejoice when they return to the flock. Because that is where they belong. That is where we belong. That's where I belong. And I spent too long by myself, away from the Good Shepherd, until eventually I realised, no, I need to be back with him. And then I squirmed over it and I thought, hang on, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough to come into his flock. And I worked hard as a little girl and I thought, oh, I'll work my way in with good works and I'll be extra nice to people and I'll be extra patient and I'll give. When do we get the idea that it's not about what we do, it's about what he's done that gets us back in the flock? It's about the shepherd searching for the sheep. Were you ever told that the sheep was searching for the shepherd? No. You notice that? It's the shepherd goes searching for the sheep. Because the sheep is wandering, looking for something. But the shepherd comes along, and we're told it later in the Gospels, the sheep recognize the voice of their master. And when you start to listen to Jesus' voice, you start to realize, I know that voice. That's the voice of my good shepherd. And we simply need to say, Lord, I'm sorry that I've strayed. I thank you that you've come looking for me, and I want to go back to the flock, to where I belong with you. And you might even be injured. You might be weary, and so he picks you on his shoulders and goes, it's okay, I'll carry you. I'll carry you back to the flock. Because maybe you've been wandering for far too long. Maybe you've been, weary and injured and attacked by the wolves. And he says to you, no, I'll pick you on my shoulders. I'll carry you there myself. That is what Jesus Christ has done. The story of the Good Shepherd is telling his Pharisees, sort out your priorities. It's not about law, it's about relationship. It's about rejoicing when one sinner comes back into the flock where they belong. And he says to us, be carried to safety. He says to us, be brought back home and rejoiced over, be returned to where you belong and be in the care of the shepherd, because he will save you. And that's the story of the Good Shepherd. Now you maybe know these words. All we need to do, don't deny the good news. Don't work out in your mind who deserves to be told it. You're like a Pharisee then. Everyone deserves the good news. All need to be saved. Rejoice when one is found. In the same way, there is more joy in heaven over one lost sinner who repents and returns to God. You're probably sitting here thinking, no, they won't rejoice over me. Friends, they will. The angels will have a party in heaven when one person comes to Jesus and says, Good Shepherd, can I come back? Can I come back? And the words of this song that we sing called Reckless Love says everything. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. I couldn't earn it. I don't deserve it. Still, you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. And I'm not going to play around here. I'm going to say to everybody in this room, have you been found by the Good Shepherd? Maybe you've been in the flock and you've strayed away a little bit, and I'm saying to you, come back into the centre of the flock. Don't stay at the edge, spectating. You're vulnerable to attack. Come in close. Will you belong? And if you've never said yes to this Good Shepherd, I'm saying to you now, do it. What's the worst that can happen? Have you ever, like the Dr. Pepper advert? What is the worst that can happen if you give your life to Christ now? Are you busy trying to earn it? Get over yourself. You never will. Are you trying to earn it by being good? What's the point? What's the point of trying to earn something that's a free gift? So what I'm going to do, hopefully, I've got it here. I'm going to put this video on of that song, Reckless Love. And I want us to honestly respond in our hearts. Because if you want to become a child of God and in his flock, and the Good Shepherd comes along you and saves you and puts him on your shoulders and he says, come with me. Why wait? Why wait? You're amongst friends here. You're amongst sisters, potential sisters and brothers in Christ. You're in a family here. Come into the family. Come into the flock. And if you would like to become a Christian, great. We will rejoice with you today. So once we've heard this song, we're going to offer a time of prayer, ministry. And what that simply means is we'll say, do you want to become a Christian? Because as Sam said last week, it's simple. Right, I'll do it now. Does anybody want to become a Christian? Put your hand up. 3, 2, 1. There we go. It's as easy as that. 2 hands, 2 hearts, 2 lines. I want you all to watch this video. There's more hearts in the room that need changed. your name. What a wonderful God. What a simple message. You are loved. And you have been saved by the blood of Christ. I'm going to pray again. It's called persistence. Close your eyes. Heavenly Father, we thank you for your message of hope. We thank you for your message of reconciliation. We thank you for your message of mercy and grace shown to each of us. And we say to you, we accept this love. We say to you, we accept your plan of being brought back into relationship with you. And we thank you for your reckless love. We thank you for your good shepherd love that searches us out. And we say to you, God, take us back. We say to you, God, accept us back into your flock and carry us there if we need to be. We say to you, I accept it. We say to you, I know that you died to take away my sin. We say to you, we thank you for your death on the cross and your resurrection that brought us new life. We say to you, we're sorry for the things that we've done wrong, but we thank you that you have forgiven us. And we say to you, this day, may we be brought back into the flock, where they will rejoice, where they will party, where they will celebrate a relationship as being restored. If that is you, ladies and gents, we say to you, take courage, take a step, speak to us, be prayed for. Today could be the first day of an amazing rest of your life that does not end at death but continues in heaven for eternity. So Lord, we say thank you. We thank you that you are an awesome God who gives us second chances, third chances, fourth and fifth, and all the chances we need to respond to your call in our lives. And we thank you. We thank you that you always celebrate. And you don't tell us off and say, where have you been? You celebrate and say, come with me. May your spirit reign in this place now, Lord, as the ministry continues. Please have your way, we pray.